what are some of the supplements and habits that I have as a working mom to help me regulate my nervous system and create more calm? You know, that elusive thing that we all kind of know we need to have more of, but really struggle to do. And what are some supplements and habits that can actually really help us to embrace more of a slower paced approach to life while still managing the chaos and busyness of everything going on? Let's dive in. I'm going to show you how I do it as a holistic nutritionist and coach, some of the things that actually work for me.
Together, 1, 2, 3.
So let's talk some of the kind of hacks, habits, biohacks when it comes to regulating your nervous system, creating more balance, safety, calm in your mind so that you can create more balance in your hormones, improve your digestion, all of these kind of things. Nervous system regulation isn't for just the sake of it. It's not just for the sake of, it'd be nice to feel calm, so I'll meditate occasionally. No, it is vital for you to really make the progress you want to make in your hormones, in your body recomposition, shedding any unneeded or unwanted fat, supporting your gut health, massive impact on that. So many aspects that it actually plays a really important role in, but most of the time none of us really realize that or pay attention to it. And then there's also the elements, there's like the science of it, the biology of it, but there's also the reality of life. Like I'm a mom, I have 3 little kids, I've just done 1 club drop off, I need to go inside and prep for a birthday party and do the party bags and the I work for charity part-time and contract with them. I have my own busy client online practice that I've been doing for 10 years. I've just gotten 8 chickens. I like to train at the gym. I'm training for a half marathon. And this isn't to like glorify busy. It's just, you probably have your own version of that. Like, so how do we slot in? How do we make it easier for ourselves to bring this regulation to our nervous system so that when we see stuff on Instagram or on YouTube or we listen to a podcast, we don't just hear this information and be like, great, you're telling me I need to do this. Like, that's what I need to do, but how do I do it? I want this video just to show you 1 pieces of the pie of how I do it. And some of that is using these supplements and little kind of hacks to make it easier. Things that actually help to shift my biochemistry so that it's easier for me to enter into a parasympathetic nervous state. And especially as a mom, I find this really helpful. And supplements are supplements. They are supplementary to other key foundations in your life. So none of this stuff is gonna like override poor blood sugar management. None of this stuff is going to change your lifestyle. And a lot of the time when we need to regulate our nervous system, there may be circumstances, lifestyle choices, things in our life that need sorting out. And so none of this stuff is gonna like miraculously fix this, but I do find these things really helpful as just really supporting my own nervous system. And also there's the conversation as well as someone, a neurodivergent person, someone with a lot of anxiety, complex PTSD. These things I also find really helpful in terms of just buffering my unique brain. My brain, based on its experiences on its neurodevelopmental path, does benefit from having a little bit more buffer and support when it comes to regulating my nervous system. So these are some of the things that work for me. They may not work for you because remember, we're all totally different and unique, and you need to figure out your unique root causes. And any supplements that I recommend to clients always come from first uncovering unique root causes, then applying supplements. If you just randomly buy all the stuff that I do, and I'm about to show you, you might just waste a whole lot of money. But all these things that I do, I only do them because I know and have tested and have experienced that they make a difference for me personally. Okay, so I just want to show you how I do it, but you do need to understand your unique root causes so that you can apply what works for you in your body. So let's dive into it.
So I'm going to make a cup of tea and I want to share with you, even with the bad lighting and the Minecraft birthday banner in the background, some of the... First, before I dive into supplements, I actually want to share with you some of the habits that I have on a day-to-day basis that really, really help. So if you have ever worked with me, you might totally get sick of me hopping on about meditation. But meditation, or having moments of calm in the morning, is a really big thing and one of the really key habits that I find makes a huge difference. I immediately got distracted from me. From making my cup of tea. But I'll move away because it's quite noisy. It's a noisy water filter machine. But starting the day with some moments of calm can make a huge, huge difference. So if we're just waking up to the chaos, and look, there is a lot of chaos often when I'm waking up in the morning. There's human feces, there's shouting, there's breakfast. I have 3 little kids. But really figuring out a routine, a habit that just helps you to wake up, find some gratitude and regulate, rather than wake up, scroll, check emails, get demands, have children in your face, dogs in your face, like where you set the intention for your day, where, and this really makes sense with our biochemistry, as often when we're waking up, we're already, or should be, if our circadian rhythm is healthy, we should already be riding a bit of this cortisol rise. That will be healthy, but if we just fuel it with more stress, anxiety, social media, emails, coffee on an empty stomach, we're gonna get that cortisol like sky high, and then the rest of the day you pay for it in low energy, in sugar cravings, in this kind of like wired sort of feeling that I'm sure surely that's not just me that can feel that way. So making sure that I take time in the morning just to reset. Sometimes that's like a 3-minute meditation. Sometimes it's like a whole yoga sequence and it's really lovely. It doesn't necessarily matter how long. I feel like I need as much time as I can get, to be honest, to help calm this monkey mind, because it really is like a freaking circus in here. I describe my inner world sometimes as this like menagerie, this like full of wild birds, all just pooping all over the place, doing whatever they like. So, you know, I need a fair amount of time, but it doesn't have to take time. Research shows that even taking 7 breaths, I think it's 6 to 8 breaths, can help reset your nervous system. You can do meditations that are like 3 minutes long. Just taking some amount of time can be really, really helpful. My cup of tea is getting cold. So that's one habit that can be really, really helpful and is a bit of a non-negotiable. The other thing that I really recommend is not having caffeine upon waking, and ideally not having caffeine until you've had food. So this is a decaf Earl Grey. I'm gonna get some milk into it. But if, again, you know, I just mentioned about the cortisol, your cortisol awakening response, CARS, is that right? Cortisol awakening? Yeah. You say you wake up, you deal with something, you know, tasks, emails, social media, a child smearing poop on the floor, you know, whatever's going on in your life. Your body hasn't eaten for a long time, 8 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours, 15 hours. So that's already feeling a bit stressful. The body's already a little bit panicked. Then you add social media, emails, a child. Then you add tons of caffeine. Like, no, it's just, for most of us, it's way too much stress. It's way too much kind of, you're just adding basically like the equivalent of loads of adrenaline, especially with no food in the system, and especially with a female physiology. Your body potentially is already utterly freaking out because it's had no food. It's the morning, oh, this is bad line. It's the morning time, you've already been on your phone, you've already got blue light, your brain is already whirling, you've not necessarily centered yourself, and then you're having like 100, 200 milligrams of caffeine before you've had any food, before you've had anything to before you've had any data input into the brain. That is what food is. It's data input into the body that goes to the brain that says, hey, we're going to be safe, we've got more than enough today. It's just, you're not setting yourself up for success, and it makes it really difficult for your nervous system to find calm. Like, you might be trying to find space and slow things down, and you know you need to find more moments of calm, as I call it with my clients. But it's really difficult if you're just completely jacked up on caffeine first thing in the morning. So, decaf all the way, my friends, or at least until you've had some food. Like, at least wait until then. Just trying to be really clever and do that thing that mums do all the time and try and carry like a bajillion things at once. What did I do? Spilled my Earl Grey down my freshly cleaned top, and this top, let me tell you, is risky as a parent. It's basically white. I didn't realize it. You think it is pink, but it's so pale. I, for the last 7 years, have not worn pale colours at all, just because of the amount of stains and therefore cleaning faff that one has to do. Anyway, that's got nothing to do with the title of this video, but you know, real life. Okay, so I am going to show you some of the supplements that I use on a daily basis or kind of temporary basis. Oh, and look at the sun coming through the leaves on the trees. Very nice. So before I kind of dive into some of the supplements and the extra stuff that I take, the other thing, so we've talked about meditation, talked a bit about caffeine. The other thing that's really important, and I know this can be really easy to mention very quickly, and I know from working with a lot of people over the last 10 years, this isn't always that easy to achieve, but sleep quality. Oh, I feel like I should move because the light's coming in, but it's just lovely. So you're just gonna have to bear with some of the weird lighting. I feel like sometimes I just love to be a cat and like sit in the sunlight through a window. Anyway, but it can be really difficult to achieve, but it's still really important, and that is sleep. So sleep, you know, whether it's young kids, whether it's sleep issues, falling to sleep, it's really important. And one of the easiest ways that you can really help to soothe your nervous system is to have good quality sleep. Again, think about your brain as this machine, it's not a machine, but this machine that's constantly taking in data. And from that data input, external data and internal data, it's deciding how your nervous system should respond. So through your eyes, you see a bear running towards you. Okay, brain is going to very quickly know that it needs to respond in fight and flight mode. You scrolling through your emails and getting stressful, snarky emails, your brain is going to know to respond to that data input in fight and flight. You not eating breakfast and fasting until midday and just drinking black coffee, oh, terrible idea, your brain is gonna interpret that data as a threat and respond accordingly. So sleep, again, just like the food that we have in the morning, the sleep that we have through the night is also a really great way at setting your nervous system up for success. Now, if you want, let me know in the comments if you'd like me to do a whole video on sleep and sleep hygiene, because I know it's one of those easy throwaway things that's like, make sure you get enough sleep, but it is something often with my clients that we spend a fair amount of time making sure not only are you getting good quantity of sleep, but also you're getting good quality of sleep as well. Because for many years I had quantity of sleep, but my quality was poor, so I still felt really awful, and it was contributing to some of those current fatigue stuff that's going on. So sleep is always a really key foundation. I'm a holistic nutritionist and a coach, but the reason I'm a holistic nutritionist is I know it's not just all about food. It's not just like, eat healthier, eat more veg, because that actually can create a lot of fear mongering around food. And it's also not the only solution. Food is medicine, 100%. And I think it is one of the most valuable, underutilized forms of medicine in our current culture. And we can really utilize the power of food more. But so is sleep, so is joy, so is movement, so are all these other different things. So let's talk supplements. Like I said at the beginning, it's really worth remembering the name of supplements, supplementary. The amount of clients, and I hit my mic. I used to do this, okay, so I'll put my hands up to this. We as humans really just want a pill to fix everything. Like, we really do. I think that's quite normal. It would be really nice if I could just make one pill that my clients had to take for 7 days that just fixed everything, you know? And that has been created by our very conventional medicine approach, where it very much is a pill for the ill. Going to the doctors, I feel like this, what medication do you have? What will help me feel better? I'll take it. I do feel better. I don't feel better. Whereas a holistic model or a functional medicine model to healing, which is what my training, my postgraduate was in terms of nutritional science, is really looking at the whole person. So when we're looking at supplements, there's no supplement that you can take that's just going to fix everything. It's really about supplements are supplementary to this wider holistic picture. And when it comes to nervous system regulation, and especially if we even connect it to this conversation of slow living, you know, you might see and you might follow a lot of slow living stuff on the internet, and that can be really inspiring and lovely. But if your brain is really struggling, if you really struggle to get your nervous system to calm down, none of that stuff is really going to feel powerful and effective for you. It's just going to feel like more pressure, more stuff for you to do. Whereas what I find is when you can find the right supplements for you and your body, it can just help make that nervous system regulation, help make slowing down feel a bit easier. So when you were thinking about slow living, when we're thinking about finding more moments of calm, when we're thinking about regulating our nervous system, I sometimes think about supplements as just ways to help train the brain to find more calm, or things that make it more biochemically available and easier, help to facilitate that shift. Because when we think about nervous system regulation, we're really shifting from sympathetic nervous state to parasympathetic nervous state. Or like I say to my clients an awful lot, it's really about creating this pendulum effect. It's not just like we're all hoping to just be like zened out monks every single day. That's not the reality of my life. There's even just this morning, there's like school drop off, there's screaming about shoes and socks and all of, you know, stressful life admin. The goal is actually that we can move like a pendulum between these two. And but for a lot of clients that I work with, they're actually just very much stuck in a more sympathetic nervous state, and they really struggle. They really struggle to take a minute to be calm. They cannot meditate. They cannot shift out of this kind of survival, productivity, go, go, go mode. Even when they're sitting and chilling, watching Netflix, their mind is still creating to-do lists, tasks, sending emails, buying things on Amazon. And that's definitely been my experience. So these are some supplements that have really helped my brain. Again, what you need and what your body needs might be slightly different, probably will be really different, depending on how your body creates adrenaline, dopamine, serotonin, GABA. I know from genetic testing and a whole bunch of testing exactly how my body works, and that's why testing can be really useful for this. So I will, in future videos, again, I will maybe dive into what I eat and what I do to support my genetics, because that has been so helpful for me. But these are things that are just examples of different things. Some of them I take every day, and some of them are more like one-off when I feel like I need it. So one adaptogen that I love and I take most days, and I really feel the difference of taking it. And again, I'm not affiliated with any of these particular brands, but it's some reishi. So I have taken this in pill form. At the moment, I have it in like a tincture. So reishi is a medicinal mushroom. It's got some really decent research around supporting the immune system, and that gets a lot of airtime about immune system support, but it's also a really helpful adaptogen. An adaptogen is a herbal plant that basically helps the body adapt your cortisol and stress levels, meaning if you need a little boost, it will increase, and if your body needs to calm down, it's going to help to calm it down. So reishi is a really great adaptogen. Other adaptogens out there are things like ashwagandha, and my brain has gone blank. There's a whole host. I'll put them in the thing down here. You'll be able to read them. There's a whole host of different adaptogens. Different ones work better for different people. I have found I really like reishi. It's quite subtle and it can be really helpful and effective. Another thing I take every day that's not an adaptogen, but really helps create more calm, and this is unique to me. I really don't recommend you just go out and buy these, but it's some St. John's wort. So St. John's wort is a herb. I have it in a little case here, but lots of brands are available. It's a really low cost and well researched herb in basically helping slightly lift your mood or help with slight anxiety. So having lived with anxiety for a long time, I find St. John's wort as a herb to be really helpful at just helping create more calm. I've experimented with being on it, not being on it, and I generally always feel better on it. Now, St. John's wort isn't ideal for most people because it interacts a lot with lots of different medications. I currently don't take any prescribed medications, and St. John's wort, if you are on any prescribed medications regularly, I actually wouldn't take it. And an alternative you can use is saffron. Saffron doesn't have any interactions with medications. It can work biochemically in a similar way. It is more expensive though. So I actually haven't tried saffron because I'm not on any prescribed medication, so that I don't need to worry about contraindications, which you do need to worry about with St. John's wort. Saffron would be one that you wouldn't need to worry about if you are on another medication or prescribed medication, but it often is more expensive. So I stick with this because it's pretty reasonably priced, and I have experimented. All these ones I'm mentioning to you now are all things I take because they make a difference. The amount of times I've said to clients, how long have you been taking this supplement for? Do you feel like it makes a difference? And they're like, no. Then I'm like, no. Supplements that you take need to supplement all the key foundations, your insulin management, your sleep, your food. They need to supplement that, and you need to, like, there's no point in taking them if you don't feel the benefit. Like, it really doesn't. And that's why you want personalized supplements, not just buying stuff with your thumb that gets advertised to you on social media, because it might not work for you. So I take St. John's wort most days. I take reishi, every day. Reishi every day. Another thing I take every day, which I love, again, I think this is technically an adaptogen, but it's not a very well known adaptogen. It doesn't often get categorized as that. I think I'm right around that, but it is a herb. I love me some herbs. Angus castus. I love this herb. I use it with a lot of clients. It's primarily used to help with balancing the hormones, but and really helping basically signal to the brain to help produce, to signal then to the ovaries to help produce with progesterone. And you might be like, what's that got to do with like feeling calm and your nervous system regulation? So Angus castus isn't going to be something that when you take it, you notice any difference in the moment. So whereas reishi, you would notice within like the half an hour, the 15 minutes of taking it, things feel more stable and steady. And a couple of the other ones are more immediate. Angus castus is more of a long term because it helps with your progesterone regulation and how that can really support your brain. And progesterone, the impact on GABA, which is a neurotransmitter that's really calming, is really helpful. So I don't take Angus castus like in the morning to help calm me down or regulate in the moment. I take it more as a long term because it helps to regulate my cycle, especially as I'm entering that sort of perimenopause time. It really can help regulate my progesterone over the cycle, over the month. So it's that longer term nervous system support. And again, it's really difficult, especially in the later half of your cycle, in that luteal phase. It's really difficult to find calm and joy and peace if your progesterone levels are like awful or like in the toilet and super low. You're going to really struggle to find any sense of calm if your progesterone level isn't great.
Right, are we ready? All do it together. 1, 2, 3. Lower them down a bit more.
So these are two things that I use more sporadically. I don't use them every day. So one is I like to have in the cupboard, but it is more expensive, but it can be really effective, and I do use it sometimes with clients, and that is CBD oil. CBD oil is definitely in the category where it will have like an immediate effect. So if you're feeling really anxious, you're really struggling to calm down, you've had a really stressful day, you know you really want to do a meditation or a yoga nidra or a mindfulness activity, but you just cannot get your brain to stop worrying, to stop thinking, CBD oil may be useful. Everybody reacts differently or has different tolerances or sensitivities to CBD oil. I have quite a high a low sensitivity. So I actually need quite a high dose of CBD oil, and it's good quality CBD oil. It's quite expensive. So I only really use this if I'm like, I was gonna say not emergencies, because it's not an emergency thing, but you know, when I'm just really need a bit of a quick, like chill out. And because it's expensive, I don't use it every day. I find the other things more helpful and more economical to use. But if I'm having a really anxious time, or I've just gotten myself really stressed out and I'm struggling to like push myself in, not push, soften is a better phrase, soften into that parasympathetic nervous state, CBD oil can be really helpful. But again, it's not something I use all the time. It's really, at most, I might use it once a month, that kind of thing. So it's not something. One thing I do find really helpful, and this isn't normally the one that I use, but this is like this isn't the best quality one. I tried it and didn't think it was amazing, but it's got the names of it. So ashwagandha is something that can be really helpful, and L-theanine can be really, really useful as well. So L-theanine is one that can help create more calm, and you can use on a daily basis. Ashwagandha isn't something I would recommend somebody take every day, because over time it can kind of blunt your testosterone levels, I'm pretty sure. So ashwagandha is more of I would take this kind of a blend, which has ashwagandha, rhodiola, and L-theanine in, and a bit of lemon balm, as like a one-off, like I've had too much coffee, the kids have been screaming at me, I'm totally wired, like I just need a little bit of help to calm me down. I wouldn't take ashwagandha especially every day, but it can be really helpful to have. And again, it's relatively economical in terms of it's not super expensive, something to have in your cupboard. It's also, I might take something like ashwagandha and reishi if I was having caffeinated coffee and I really wanted a caffeinated coffee, but I wanted to help not create as much of a adrenaline response. Reishi in coffee, ashwagandha with coffee, even L-theanine, which naturally occurs in tea and matcha tea, which is why you have a more calming effect from green tea and matcha tea, even though they do contain good amounts of caffeine, is, so ashwagandha is one occasion like that. So those things generally I find really help, along with getting some of the other foundations. And I know, we really just want to be like, oh, Google, I'm going to buy reishi right now. Like, that will fix everything. You really have to get the foundations right. The foundations of blood sugar management, the foundations of quality sleep, eating in the morning, like making sure you're not just like fasting for ages and ages and ages and stressing the body out and ramping adrenaline up. Really getting some of these foundations right and really understanding your unique root causes. You could spend like hundreds of quid on all of the supplements I've just mentioned, and it might make like 3% difference to you. I don't want that for you. It's so much better to understand your unique root causes. The only reason I take any of these is because I have a thorough and deep understanding of my genetics, my gut microbiome, my hormones, and my unique root causes, and then I can problem solve in a really targeted way. And that is always what supplementation should be about. It should be supplementary things to help problem solving the problem that you are clear on, not the problem that some Instagram influencer has told you about. So if you don't know your unique root causes, book your root cause session with me. You can book in directly, the link's below, because it really makes all the difference, especially if you have a cupboard full of supplements and you're like, nothing works for me. It's probably not that nothing's going to work for you. It's probably because you haven't gotten really clear on the problem you're solving, on the problem that your body has. And when you can do that, then you can have a really strategic and nuanced approach. You don't just have to like buy lots of random probiotics and hope that it's going to help you. Does that make sense? I mean, I've done that in the past, but it was a total waste of time and money. Whereas now, all these things, I'm like, I know this works because of this. I know this works because it helps me feel better. I know this works because of this data I have. It makes a huge difference. So I hope that is helpful. Let me know any questions you have about supplements and nervous system regulation in the comments below. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Sending you lots of love. Bye.